Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time you're watching this. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Shayner, it's been too long, buddy, but hey, you know what? We make time when we can make time. And it's good to see you again, buddy. I missed you.
Likewise. I always enjoy these. You know, it's fun. We do this for fun, right? I mean, it's a Wednesday night at 10 p.m. and you know what? We made the time. We wanted it to happen because it's been too long. I mean, both of our schedules have been just crazy. I've been crushing it at the Sick Pod there. Obviously, it was a busy time recently, right? The draft, the free agents, and all that stuff. And you know, I got the Rocket Report with my buddy Anthony Marcotte going on, producing all sorts of shows there. The Eye Test, obviously Tony Marinaro, all that good stuff. So it's been a busy time. It's starting to wind down a little bit here. So hopefully we'll be able to make more time for these. But I'm excited to talk to you right now. Yeah.
No, for sure, man. I think I overpromised to our viewers last time because I'm like, you know what, you and I are realizing, like, as much as like I tried to, you know, say we were going to make this a bigger thing, I think we should probably just keep doing what we've been doing for like 3 years, which is like
winning formula.
Doing it when we can. So I got a little hyper excited with, like, you know, branding and all these ideas and everything. But I think we're just going to keep doing what we've been doing because it's working for our schedules and it's casual, it's easygoing. We do it when we can. And the audience has been so patient. And it's a treat for us to do it, you know, to talk to each other for one, but to have you guys along for the ride. Of course, we appreciate you guys. And we're going to keep doing what we've been doing. Super casual. And that's going to be where we're at because our lives obviously are just getting a little bit busier. So we're doing our best, and we thank you. We thank you for being patient and just enjoying each other's company while we can, when we can. So with that, Shayne, it's been a bit here, buddy. You just said it, that we have gone through a very busy time in Habs land.
Lots has happened. Yeah.
Lots has happened. It's not like you and I don't talk, by the way. We do text everybody, just so you know.
Yeah.
Like, so Shayne is like the guy who drops the trade to me, like, when it happens, as I've told you in other videos. But we haven't had a chance to talk about a lot, but let's talk about what we're going to talk about in this show. And we're going to talk about the Habs prospects that stood at development camp. You guys know by now, but Shayne and I are going to go through it a bit here. We're going to talk about how creative will Kent Hughes and Jeff Gorton get in addressing the center market, which is just everyone's kind of waiting for the next thing to drop. And Patrick Laine didn't get signed until like late August last year. So they didn't acquire him until late August last year.
That's right.
So there's time. It's still first week of July going into second week. I had this in here as LJ Mooney, Gallagher's future replacement, ? Because the more I listen to you guys too, of course, I'm getting ideas about where guys are going to slot in. And Anderson and Gallagher's contracts are both coming up 2 seasons from now. And it's perfect amount of time to develop some players, Shayne. There's so many players to talk about. I don't think we're going to squeeze them all in this episode, but we're going to try to talk about as many as we can. And like I mentioned, we're going to talk about the center need, which we're all kind of talking about on every Habs pod, it seems, and how creative they can get to pull that off and see what they're going to do. So Shayne, why don't we just start with, let's just start with, I know this wasn't on the docket necessarily, but the Noah Dobson deal. I got to get your take on Noah Dobson because you broke it to me and you just let her roll, buddy. I want to know your thoughts on how big of a difference Mr. Noah Dobson's going to make starting this next season.
Man, oh man. Listen, when I saw, I think it was Kevin Weeks actually who said, you know, it's confirmed Noah Dobson is a Montreal Canadian. There was rumblings, of course, before that. But when I saw that, I'm like, okay, wow. First and foremost, I mean, this is a 25-year-old right shot defenseman. He's hold on, let me tell you, he's like around 6'3", 6'4" type thing, right? He's a big boy, large man, and he put up 70 points 2 years ago, right? 70 points as a defenseman. So this is one of the premier defensemen in the league at 25 years old. This was a phenomenal get from the get-go, but I was just waiting for what the return was going to be, right? I was expecting, I was expecting to get hurt a little bit. I was expecting maybe a a
That's not
Rhinebacker in
Dobson,
the
by the way.
deal.
Sorry.
That's
That was
LJ Mooney. We'll talk about him in a bit, though.
There's a
Don't you
teaser
worry.
for after. I'm working on
Yeah.
it. Sorry to cut you off, pal. Go ahead.
But yeah, I was a little scared of what the return would be, right? I was expecting maybe, one of the premier prospects, of course. And it turned out that it was only, I say only, I mean, Emil Heineman is a heck of a player, and I'm a big fan of his, but let's be real, he's
Gonna
not,
miss him a bit.
he wasn't a part of, the top echelon of the players within the Habs organization.
Right.
2 mid first round picks in a weaker, if you will, draft class. That's it. I mean, ridiculous. So first thoughts, I couldn't believe it. I'm like, there's no way. There has to be more. Again, I understand that the Islanders weren't exactly in a position of power when it came to this deal because Dobson clearly did not want to stay. I mean, there was contract disputes. I don't know the insides, right? But there was a clear divide there, right? It's not like the Islanders were in a position of power in here. Maybe they got slightly less than value. They ended up doing pretty good with the draft picks, I thought. There, Eklund and Aitchison, those guys fell. I didn't expect them to be there, but fair enough. And the kicker here, Drew, is Martin Lapointe, the director of player scouting there, amateur scouting. He said that had they picked 16th and 17th, Alexander Zarowsky would have been one of those picks, and they got him at 34. Essentially, I mean, and I'm sure we'll tie in the Zack Bolduc trade as well. But the way
so many players talk about.
Yeah.
Wow, guys.
Yeah, crazy.
It's been too long for us. Okay, carry on.
The way I look at this, right? These 2 trades from a back, you get a Logan Mailloux improvement right away in Noah Dobson, right? And you get an Emil Heineman improvement right away in Zack Bolduc. And all it cost you was essentially 1 first-round pick because you got the other guy you wanted. So it's pretty remarkable asset management. Now, again, I don't know. Maybe they were lying to us when they said they were going to pick Zarowsky. They just wanted to make themselves look good. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I think they're telling the truth, but nonetheless, I love the Dobson deal and I love the Bolduc deal. Okay, and I'll skip ahead, Drew, if you'll allow me, because I know we got a lot of things to cover here.
You run.
Logan
Mailloux.
Go. This is an interesting trade because unlike the Dobson one, where clearly Dobson, didn't want to go, this was a deal that's like, okay, 2 teams trading from a position of power, both trading pieces that they each need, right? So St. Louis was in dire need of a young offensive right shot defenseman, and the Canadiens are in need of a power forward, forechecking, scoring young forward. So it was a match made in heaven. Great deal. I think both teams will benefit from it. Short term, I think the Habs win this trade. Long term, hard to tell, right? Mailloux is just such an up and down player, right? Covering the Laval Rocket, I got to see really the full extent of the Logan Mailloux experience. And on one end, he can win you games single-handedly. I mean, this is a very talented player. There's no doubt about that. And he can make some magic happen on the ice. But on the other hand, it's still far from the NHL, in my opinion. There are still so many holes in his game, defensively, consistency-wise. There's just a lot of things that he still needs to work on, and I think he'll get the chances to work on that in St. Louis. I think he will prosper there. I hope he does well. He seems like a very nice young man. But Zack Bolduc is going to be phenomenal. Drew, phenomenal for this team. He is exactly what they needed on the wing. He's going to be a fantastic middle 6 guy, forechecking, hitting, scoring. All right, this guy has a heck of a shot. He's got that scoring touch. He's going to be a threat on the power play. And hey, maybe we'll talk about the power play units in a little bit, but wow. What the second unit? Strap up, folks. It's going to be special.
Yeah. I don't even know how they're going to put these 2 power plays together. I'm glad I'm not the one making these decisions. That's all I can say. But let's talk about Mr. Zarowsky for a second here, because I'm jumping to this because I remember asking you almost instantly about this player when the Habs selected him. It was their first pick in the 2025 draft, second round, 34th overall selection. They trade 41 and 49 to get him. Correct?
Yep, that's right.
So what you share with me either what you told me directly, or you can word it however you want, but there's a potential for pretty high upside or nothing. I don't know. Like, I'm not
for
sure
sure.
how to put it, but you tell me and tell the folks your impressions of Zharovsky. He's the only one that could not make development camp because his visa did not get approved in time, unfortunately, which was too bad, but gives you a little something to look forward to, right?
Right, that's it. This is a very raw player, right? And when Grant McCagg and I were still doing the recruits draft cast, we had featured Zarowsky on one of our shows. I remember vividly because I think we featured him multiple times actually, and we called him the Magic Man. I mean, this guy's hands, his playmaking abilities, his scoring abilities, actually, just anything he does in the offensive zone is highlight worthy. Like, he is an uber talented player, okay, but still very raw. Lots of things to improve. He needs to fill out. I mean, he's 6'1", good frame, but he's about 160 pounds, right? That's
Right.
slender. That's too small, right? So he's going to need to fill out. But again, I think he has 2 more years on his KHL deal. He already played KHL minutes this past season, right? He mostly played in the MHL where he was well over a point per game. I mean, he was the best player on his team, and then he got the call up at the KHL. Didn't really do much, but that's how the KHL works. We saw it with Ivan Demidov, right? They don't really give opportunities to young players, so it was remarkable that he not only did get an opportunity, but he got a chance to play there. I'm excited about this guy, and clearly the Habs brass is as well. I fully trust our scouting staff. Judging by the last few drafts, I mean, they've found gems, right? Every single draft, it seems. So they know what they're doing. And Nick Bolbrov, I think, is really the key here, right? This guy has so many contacts. He has so much intel coming from Russia. He knows exactly who these prospects are and what they're going to become. If they were thinking so highly of Zarowsky that they would have picked him within the top 17, I'm very, very excited for this player. I don't think, there should be too much hype right around him. Like Demidov, the hype, I think, is still not enough, right? I'm so incredibly high on this player. It's not even funny. Zarowsky is kind of, I think he's going to be more of a complementary player in the sense that he's going to bring those offensive touches and those abilities as well, but he's not going to be the focal point, right? He's not going to be driving a line, if you will. But he absolutely has top 6 upside. I mean, this is a guy who could easily play on the second line in a few years. So very, very excited about this pick. I remember when it happened, I jumped up and I yelled, and I was quite happy because I remembered him from looking at some highlights, some scouting profiles and whatnot. So yeah, very happy.
And a friend of Mr. Ivan Demidov too, which
that doesn't hurt. That doesn't hurt. Yeah.
They must have had a few questions for Ivan on this guy and who he is as a person too, which is always cool that they assess character development, or character assessment is a big part of how the scouts have been making their picks. I want to go right into this right away because we're on the Demidov subject. So over or under, Shayne, I didn't have it on the docket, like I said, either, but over under, I'm going 70 points for Demidov in his first full season in the NHL.
That's fair.
And I just thought it'd be a fun one to throw out there. So this will be really quick, but if you want to think on it for a second.
I don't need to. So let me give you my train of thought here. Right. There's certain factors that go into, how many points he's going to get. The first one being power play time, right? We saw at the end of the year, that first power play unit was the one we've been dreaming for, Drew. The one we've been dreaming for, and it was even prettier than we imagined. Suzuki, Slavkovsky, Caulfield, Hudson, and our boy Demidov. And it was fantastic against Washington. So I think that'll be the first power play unit for the entire season. I think it should be. And if that is the case, and they get a legit second line center, I'm going over, baby. Overall, all day over. If those two factors are in play. If they're not, then we have a discussion. Then, okay, maybe he's closer to maybe 65, whatnot. But this player is going to knock your socks off. Like, I'm telling you, 82 games of Ivan Demidov in the top 6 on the first power play. You're not ready for it, dude. It's going to be special. I just really hope they get him a legit second line center, and we're going to get into that discussion. I'm sure about it. But right now, today, that second line center is Kirby Dach, and I would feel so much more comfortable if he was on the wing rather than at center. Right? Kirby Dach's best season was his first one with the Canadiens, and he played on the wing, of course, with Suzuki and Caulfield. That doesn't hurt, but he was on the wing, right? At center, it hasn't clicked. It just hasn't clicked. He's not a play driver. He's better as a complementary winger. That's where I'd like to see him. The Habs need to get a center, man. They need to.
Well, I mean, we might as well just get right into it. So the segues are on point tonight, folks. Let me tell you, it doesn't matter how long ago it's been that we did a show. So how creative I came up really weird. How creative will Hughes and Gorton? I have just Hughes here, but he's making the call for the trade if we make one. So how creative do they need to get, Shayne, to address this center need? Because there's been players mentioned on Tony's show and on a few shows about who this player could be. It's got to be a left shot, most likely, with Suzuki, with Evans, with as Owen Beck. I'm not sure that he makes the team out of camp. It's kind of a big discussion point, but how necessary is a left side? We have Alex Newhook too. We can't forget Alex Newhook, but maybe third line winger or center. We'll see. But what are your thoughts on how they're going to get a chance to address this need?
Okay. Feel free to cut me off whenever, because I might ramble on here. I have thoughts.
All right.
First and foremost, let's look at the organizational depth. Okay. On the wings, Caulfield, Suzuki, Slavkovsky, Demidov, Laine, Josh Anderson, Zack Bolduc, Brandon Gallagher. They signed Sammy Blais. I think he actually does make the team. He's a really good player. And then again, we mentioned Kirby Dach and Alex Newhook are preferably wingers, right? They can play centers, preferably wingers. Now, I'm not good at math, but I count 10, right? You can only roster 8 wingers. So you need 4 centers. And right now you only have 2 real centers, that being Suzuki and Evans.
Right.
I wouldn't mind one of Dach or Newhook playing third line center. I think that's fine. Depending on the wingers, I think that could work well. I don't have a problem with that. The second line center, however, this is where it gets tricky, right? Because you're going to have some big minutes, some big matchups, some big offensive responsibilities, some big defensive responsibilities as well. There is no one within the organization right now that I would feel comfortable in that position, which means we have to look elsewhere. The free agent market is over, done. No one there. Forget about it. It's going to be trade. And don't come at me with no offer sheets either, okay? Because the Montreal Canadiens right now, today, are $5 million over the cap. Now, of course, the Carey Price contract will put them at about $5 million under the cap, which is still not enough to maneuver around for an offer sheet, okay? Forget about the offer sheet. It's not happening. So it's trade. We've established it's going to be a trade. Now, in order to identify the players, you have to identify the trading partner. Which teams will you be trading with? The first team that I'm calling, if I'm Kent Hughes, is the Seattle Kraken. Let me tell you why. First and foremost, I don't like what the Seattle Kraken are doing. I think they're in a weird spot. They're fringe team, right? Too good to be bad, too bad to be good, right? That they're just drafting within the top 10 each year, and they're always picking the same kind of player, right? That offensive center. Keyword here, center. The Seattle Kraken have a crazy center depth that the Habs should really be all over on, right? Matty Beniers right now is the first line center. Interesting. We know he won the Calder Trophy, right? I see him more of as a 2C. I don't think you can really build around that player. Good player, but he had 2 disappointing seasons. Okay. I don't know how the feeling is going over there. Second line center right now is Chandler Stevenson, 2-time Stanley Cup winner, right? Pretty good player, one of the best guys on the face-off dot in the league. I mean, that's interesting. That's interesting. And guess what? He's a left shot. However, he makes $6.25 million until 2031. No, thank you. No, thank you. And he has a full no move clause. So forget about Stevenson, right? He's staying there, which I think is not good for them. But hey, whatever. That's their problem. Now, they also have Shane Wright, right? Who by all accounts should be a top 6 center in the NHL at some point. Right now, he's slotted in the third hole, right? They just got Frédéric Gaudreau, as the chart says. But in the pipeline, they drafted Berkeley Catton last year, right? In Vegas. He's more of a top 6 offensive center. This year, they just drafted Jake O'Brien, who's more of a top 6 offensive center. I think you see where I'm going here. There is going to need to be changes in Seattle. Now, I don't know who Seattle would make available, if anyone, really. But there will need to be changes because they have too many centers. They just can't roll with that many centers. So
yeah,
I'm calling them. I'm saying, hey, what's up? Like, what can we do here? The guy I'd be all over is Matty Beniers for sure. He makes a reasonable $7.1 million until 2031. He's 22 years old, left shot center. That's a perfect fit for me, right? But how much is he going to cost? Is he even available? I don't know. That's the first team I'm calling. Second team I'm calling is the Anaheim Ducks. And I know the first name everybody's going to think of, Mason McTavish. Well, yeah, Mason McTavish. I mean, it makes sense, right? However, does it make sense for the Anaheim Ducks to move him? Personally, I don't think so. I mean, that would be foolish. You drafted him 3rd overall. This guy is, I have it here, 22 years old, left shot center. But he is an RFA, right? And we know that there's, I don't know, maybe a little bit of a contract dispute. They can't really agree on a number right now. And he might be a little ticked off by his minutes, right? We know that they have Leo Karlsson and Ryan Strome as well. And they just drafted Roger McQueen, another center. So that's another team with pretty good center depth. And let me circle back to a name that I just named here. Ryan Strome is interesting. 31 years old. Now, he is a right shot center.
Yeah.
But he makes $5 million for the next 2 years. Within 2 years, you're hoping that Michael Hage is ready, right? That would be a perfect stopgap for me. I would inquire about Ryan Strome. I think that's a name that not many people have mentioned, and that could be maybe in Anaheim's advantage in some ways, if that's a selling point for Mason McTavish to re-sign, right? He wants more minutes. Well, hey, here you go. No more Ryan Strome. That means more minutes for you, right? So there might be something to work with Anaheim there, right? So that's the second team I'm calling. What's up with these guys? Third team I'm calling is the Utah Mammoth. Le Mammoth, okay? The Utah Mammoth. Again, I'm looking at teams who have interesting center depth here. We know Logan Cooley's the number 1 guy, and he's been doing fine, and he's going to do great in the future. Great player, solid. They just drafted Caleb Desnoyers, who I am such a big fan of this player. He's going to be their second line center sooner rather than later. I think starting next year, right? But the next season, not this upcoming one.
Yeah.
So what happens with Barrett Hayton? Barrett Hayton is a 25-year-old left shot center who makes $2.65 million this year and then becomes an RFA. What happens with him? I'm interested. I mean, this is a player who was highly touted in his draft year, hasn't really found his groove in the NHL so far, but I think there's still plenty of upside. He would fit great on that second line, I think. So that's the third team I'm calling. I don't know about maybe Nick Schmaltz. I know he plays a little bit of center, but again, right now the Habs need a pure center, not a winger who can play center, right? They need a pure center. Barrett Hayton would be that guy. I mean, we can keep throwing out names, right? Like maybe a Nick Paul in Tampa Bay, right?
Oh, I like him.
Why not? I mean, I know he has a no trade clause, but Tampa's a team that's kind of tight with the cap. They might need to maneuver around, do some things. So that's another name that's interesting. But all in all, we can keep naming names all we want. The fact remains that the Habs are in a bind with the cap, right? When they're going to bring in a new contract, another is going to have to go out. They're not going to be able to make a Dobson type deal where they send out a guy, an RFA, right, and 2 first-round picks, basically losing no money and only taking money, right? So there's going to need to be a money trade at some point here if they want to bring in a second line center. And the 2 guys that are likely casualties here are Patrik Laine and Mike Matheson, all right? If we go back to what I said about organizational depth, I named 10 wingers, okay? That means wingers are expendable. That means Laine is expendable, especially at 8.7 million cap hit, okay? That would free up quite a bit of money. However, that would sting a little bit because I think he really did enjoy his time in Montreal. And I think, with a full off-season training, healthy, coming into next season in a comfortable role, I think he actually can do a lot of good. We saw some crazy good flashes from him. I don't know that there's a better shot in the league, right? He is just lethal, but he's going to lose his first power play time, right? That's going to go back to Caulfield. He's going to be bumped down to PP2. Are you willing to pay $8.7 million for a PP2 guy who 5-on-5 isn't super? I don't know, right? And then for Mike Matheson, we look at organizational depth again, right? On the left side, you have Caden Gooley, you have Lane Hudson, you have Jaden Struble, you have Arbor Jacki, you have Mike Matheson. Just named you 5 guys. You can only have 3 on the left side. Obviously, one of them is going to play on the right, but that leaves Mike Matheson a little bit as the odd man out, if you will, and especially at a $4.8 million cap hit, and he's going to be a UFA at the end of the year. I don't know. Those are probably the likely casualties, but to me, Drew, that's where we stand. Listen, Kent Hughes has done miracles. Let's just call it that. Like trades that we would never have thought possible. We were thinking about Dobson. The name was in circulation. I don't think anybody was really surprised by Dobson, but Bolduc, nobody saw that one coming, right? So whoever the Habs get, we might not even be talking about. Like this might just be some guy that we never knew would be available, and just exceeds all our expectations. But it's gonna, like you said here in the ticker here, he's gonna have to be creative. It's gonna be a tough move to make, but it's a necessary one. The Habs, if they want to be serious this year, and if they want to develop Ivan Demidov properly, and I've been pushing this as a priority for a long time, they're gonna need a legit second line center right this summer.
That's yeah, I mean, that seems to be the consensus from the outside. I wonder how they feel on the inside. That's kind of where I'm curious about how they're gonna figure this thing out. But it seems like from what we're hearing over and over again from Hughes and Gorton is that they're gonna keep working the phones. And
oh yeah,
they've both said it. They both aren't satisfied with what they've done. They're happy, they're content, but they're not satisfied. You can tell. So they're going to try. They're definitely going to try. And if they can move out a bigger contract or what have you, I mean, Patrik Laine's role is minimized almost at this point for 8.7 million. I don't know that it's I shouldn't say minimized, but compared to this year, the opportunity he got, take him off the power play. Like, I don't know, man. Like, where are you going to be the most effective? That's where he was the most effective. And going down to PP2 is just going to make him a lot less effective. But,
and we go back to that PP2 I talked about earlier, right? Noah Dobson's going to be on the power play too. Zack Bolduc is going to be on the power play too. Like that second unit is going to be disgusting. Like it's going to be really, really good. And if you have Laine on that left wall there with his booming shot, and then Bolduc obviously in the bumper spot. I mean, this guy scored most of his goals there. He's lethal there. And you add whoever else. I mean, I don't know. Who do I have right now on the PP2? Like, you could have Doc in front of the net. He's a big body, right? Newhook on the right. I don't know. You can maneuver around.
That's your 5 guys right there.
Listen, that both power play units, like they're going to be clicking this year. So, I'm still aboard the Patrick Laine trade. Choo choo. I think he can still bring some really good value, and just the fact that I think enjoyed his time in Montreal so far could help his performance a little bit. Like he'll want it even more. So we'll just have to wait and see. But bottom line is, I have full trust in Kent Hughes and Jeff Gorton. Feels good to say that. You know what I mean? Knowing that we're in good hands, we have competent management. It's a great feeling. I'm not used to it, but it's even better. You know,
like our scouting has improved hand over fist.
Hey, come on, it's night and day. Night and day. Listen, Trevor Timmins has made nice picks. Let's not bash him, right? He got us, Cole Caulfield and Caden Gooley, right? And a few other guys. I mean, Brandon Gallagher still on the team. That was Trevor Timmins. Carey Price. You know, we can't just talk about the misses, but there was too many.
There's a whole video by Hockey Junkie on all the misses, but that's not all Timmins. But there's a bunch.
He's the head guy, so I mean, he's the easy name to point. But it's obviously it's a collaborative effort, right? The scouting department is an entire department. It's not just Timmins. But point is, feels good. Feels good. We're in good hands right now.
They just keep, they're so strategic with how they're doing this thing, and I think that's one of the coolest parts to watch. Is from the very beginning, they're getting and making, they're being aggressive when they know without a shadow of a doubt the players that they want to target, and they get them. And if it means waiting a bit longer for the 2C, I mean, we're going to be looking at Michael Hage as potentially the guy for a long time in a couple of years. But I want to ask you about this player, because from what I had heard, he's not available, and you and I talked about him not that long ago, and that's William Karlsson from the Vegas Golden Knights. We haven't heard a thing about him, and it sounds like he may not be available from what I had heard through the grapevine. So have you heard anything? Because he seems like he'd be a great stopgap. He's only got a couple years left on his deal at a very reasonable cap hit. So what are your thoughts on William Karlsson? Is that pretty much that discussion? Is he available in your mind?
So before they signed Marner and before Alex Pietrangelo said that he wasn't going to play the season, he was my number one target. Now
they need him.
Not only do they need him, but they can also afford to keep him. Because I knew they wanted to sign Marner, and had Pietrangelo been healthy and played the season, they would have had to shed some cap. That's where the Habs come in, take Karlsson from them. But now that Pietrangelo's off the cap and he's gone the entire year, they can afford to sign Marner and keep Karlsson. So I do think they will keep him, because having that center depth of Eichel, Hertl, and Karlsson is absurd. So Vegas, gross. I mean, they really don't have a reason to move on from Karlsson, but man, like he would have been my number one choice. Like this guy was the perfect stopgap, and potentially, 3C down the road. I don't know, but I think that's past now. I think with Pietrangelo gone, that just changes the whole dynamic and their whole cap situation, really. So they're actually fine now. They don't need to move anything.
Was there anything to this? Was a quickly dismissed rumor. I don't even think you guys talked about it on Tony's show. I don't think, or maybe I'm wrong, about the Matheson for Nugent Hopkins rumor. Did you hear about that rumor? Because right, Nugent Hopkins, I mean, like, how do you leave Edmonton at this point? I don't know. It just seems like because I think that Matheson's got one more year left on his deal here, but 32 years old for Nuge, 6'1", 192 pounds. His cap hit is a pretty digestible $5.125 million, but it's for another 3 seasons. Actually, is it 4? It ends in 2029. So
yeah,
that's actually 4 seasons if my math is correct. 25 years. Yeah. So like I'm literally this is how bad I am. This is how bad I am. But do you really see that for Edmonton to move on? You got to pay more than that for Nugent Hopkins, I would think. But I mean,
not just
I
that.
don't know how he leaves.
I
don't see it.
hadn't heard about this rumor, but I can shut it down right now if you want. Nugent Hopkins has a no movement clause.
Full no move?
Full no move.
Oh, okay.
And
Got
let
it.
me add on to that.
Got it.
The Edmonton Oilers on their D-core, obviously, we know they need help on defense. It's not great, but let's look at the D that they have, right? Darnell Nurse is a left-handed shot. Matthias Ekholm is a left-handed shot. Jake Wallman is a left-handed shot. Brett Kulak is a left-handed shot. The only righties that they have are Evan Bouchard, Ty Emberson, and Troy Stetcher. Do they need another left D? I mean, this makes no sense. Like, I don't know who brought up this rumor. This makes no sense.
I don't know. Maybe an upgrade on Kulak. Like, I wasn't that impressed with Kulak in the final. I thought he looked overwhelmed. I thought he looked
still like they have Nurse and Ekholm there, and Matheson is more of like a second pairing guy, and I don't think
and the turnovers like that would drive Edmonton nuts.
Exactly. He's not what they need. He's not what they need at all. They would need more of a goalie, right? Goalie would be a great fit there. Not happening though. Goalie's no. He's staying here.
Dare.
He's staying here.
I'm glad we went through that one quick. Okay, so that's good. We got where we wanted to go with that.
Yeah.
So I think we'll end on a couple of players, and I think we're going to end with a couple of prospects here from training camp that we just drafted, ladies and gentlemen. And we'll just do a couple quick hits on these. My camera battery, I forgot to plug in the adapter, so it's running on pure battery. So we will try to get through these couple really quickly here. But Mr. Papanikis, okay, Aiden Papanikis. Just talk to me about this player, man. He's a center. He's a right shot. He's a big guy. What are your thoughts on him being a Montreal Canadien? What are your visions of this player?
I mean, it's how can you complain? 6'5" center.
Is it 6'5"?
Oh my god, 6'5", my friend.
Oh
him and Tyler Thorpe are 6'5".
Thorpe. Everyone loves Thorpe already too.
Yeah. I know Tony did a whole show about those two, about how like the Habs, they got some monsters in the pipeline. I think that was the title. So
following the Florida model.
Geez, like you need that. And on top of that, you saw how skilled he was, right? This guy can move. He's got some hands. He's going to be playing this year in Kelowna, and he's guaranteed to play in the Memorial Cup because Kelowna are hosting.
Correct. That's big.
So that's a huge, huge development, I guess, asset or advantage, if you will, for Hayden there. Papanikis. I love saying that. That's a great name.
Once you get it right, it's nice. It flows.
Yeah. Papanikis. Anyways, so yeah, what's there not to love? I mean, I've seen a lot of scouting reports on him. Most, independent scouts had him ranked higher than what he went. So according to them, he's sort of a steal, right? Or just great, exact value, if you will. That's about where he was slotted to go. So really no gripes on this. I'm excited to watch him play this year in the dub, and hopefully he's an important part of the Rockets team. They're gonna shore up their squad for sure, right? Every team that goes into the Memorial Cup, they make a bunch of trades and they get some big boys, but he is a big boy, and I think he can shoulder a lot of responsibilities. So it's an interesting depth piece. I don't really see him being an answer in the top 6, but third, fourth line down the road, that's well within his reach. So I like this pick a lot.
And let's jump right into it, man. This guy's got people talking. Colby Armstrong and Chris Nyland. Let's be specific. Colby Armstrong and Chris Knuckles Nyland. Shout out to the Raw Knuckles podcast on the Sick Network also. But, something like Knuckles and Colby Armstrong are like, watch out for this kid.
Yeah.
And another 5'7", super highly skilled player, models his game after Cole Caulfield, loves Pavel Datsyuk, skates in circles. Like I don't know. I think I'm talking too much. I want to let you go on this guy because I mentioned LJ Mooney possibly being Brendan Gallagher's future replacement, a guy who can play physical despite his size.
Yeah. And he's got an edge to him.
You guys talked about him, but let's hear your thoughts on Little John Mooney, because people are falling in love with this guy really, really quickly.
Understandably so. You know, there's one thing about Habs fans is that they appreciate heart and effort, right? Even if you're not the most talented player, as long as you give it your all on the ice, you will win over Habs fans. And it helps when you have a ton of talent. So that's LJ Mooney right there, right? Filled to the brim with talent and filled to the brim with determination and compete and you know, like I said, he's got an edge to his game, right? He doesn't mind going in the corners. He doesn't mind body checking. This guy, I mean, listen, if he were 5'11", not even 6 foot, if he was 5'11", he would have been a top 20 pick this year. I can assure you of that. Like that is the talent level we're talking about here. But he is 5'7". He's about what, like 140, 150 pounds. I don't know. I didn't check the sheet there, but I know he's basically the exact same size as Caulfield was when he was drafted.
162. That's not too bad. That's about Lane Hudson's weight when he was drafted.
Yeah. So again, obviously he'll need to fill out a little more. He can't play in the NHL. He can't quite play in the NHL at that size, but sure. Listen, the talent is there. Like
the determination and the compete is what has me.
It's impressive, man.
Pretty convinced already. Like he is just like he's got that bulldog sort of like Josh George has described to us years ago. Remember?
Yeah.
How Brendan Gallagher had he's like, this guy's a bulldog. Exactly. And it just seems like LJ is just not going to be denied.
And he's going in a really good situation here in Minnesota with the Gophers. They're going to have a good team this year. They should. So he's going to get plenty of opportunities and playing time. And I mean, I think everyone knows by now that he's Logan Cooley's cousin. But just the fact that they train together and they're able to have, discussions and kind of work off each other, and he can learn from him, who's, Cooley's first line center in Utah. Like he's the legit player in this league. So that's also at his advantage. Listen, I'll never count him out. Like with that kind of talent, that kind of determination, even at 5'7", I think he could genuinely fight for a spot within a few years. But I mean, in the 4th round, they got him. That's great value. At that point in the draft, you just want to take swings. You just want to go for the home run. You don't care about the safe pick. Just go for it. That's that kind of guy, right? They just went for it. They're like, okay, hey, let's see how this goes. So I love this pick. Love him.
Okay, so we talked about the Logan Mailloux. Everyone's like still trying to correct everybody. What do you make of Bryce Pikford, right shot defenseman, who put up some pretty serious numbers in the playoffs, Shayne? Like,
yeah.
And in the regular season, not so bad either. But actually, he had a really nice regular season specifically. But where would you rank him just as your first impression compared to Logan Mailloux, who we thought had a third pairing spot on the Canadiens? They moved on from him. They upgraded at forward with Bolduc. What do you think of Bryce Pikford? Does he have a future with the Canadiens on the right side after Reinbacher and Noah Dobson?
Mm-hmm. I'll be honest. I'm not going to pretend like I'm a scout. None of these players I've looked at very much, but I've done some research. I've done some reading. So I've watched highlights. I've looked at stats. Right. So I kind of have a feeling of what kind of players these guys are. And Bryce Pikford, I mean, of course, he benefited from being with Medicine Hat this year. Obviously, Gavin McKenna and that whole team, they won the WHL. I mean, they were the best team there. So credit to them and credit to him, because he stepped up. Like he was a goal scoring machine from the blue line. Great shot. Again, right-handed. That's, like you mentioned, that's important. And listen, on the right side, I mean, we often forget about Alex Carrier. I think he's still young enough to have a spot long-term with the team. But then after that, it's Pikford, it's Kanyushkov, really. I know they drafted Carlos Handel and McNeil and Vig, who are all right-handed defensemen. But I think Pikford and Kanyushkov are kind of there for that fourth right-handed defenseman on the depth chart right now. I like the upside with this guy. if he can keep producing with Medicine Hat this year. I know they just lost McKenna, so that might that might hurt a little bit. But
yeah. Now we can see what he's made of a bit more.
Exactly. It'll be a good test for him. Numbers may go down, but that's normal. You just lost a generational player on your team, so that's completely fine. But no, I like this. The more I learn about him, the more I like. So I thought he did fine at development camp. The scrimmage that I saw, he didn't exactly stand out, but he didn't stand out in a bad way either. Like, he looked like he belonged, and yeah, I'm fine with this pick as well.
I remember Logan Mayhew's first. I was like up against the glass again in Buffalo for his first development camp scrimmage. I think it was. Was it development camp?
Like a rookie showcase?
Oh no, it was the prospect showcase. Which I have news on that for Shayne and I again, by the way. But that's what it was. It was the prospect showdown in Buffalo, and Logan Mailloux was just in over his head, and he had a bad first impression, like in his first game, which like. You could tell he was like, I'm in the NHL now. It was kind of one of those things. But regardless, I think it'd be nice to see Pikford turn into a good piece for the Canadiens in whatever form he becomes. So anyway, good to talk about all these guys with you, buddy. And we didn't really get a chance to talk about this fella right here, who I'm going to pull up for a second here. And that's Michael Hage, who I did say, and I have said, and apparently I'm not the only one, Shayne, and I'm glad and relieved to hear it, that he reminds me of Jack Eichel. And I'm not comparing him to Jack. I'm just saying he reminds me of him. I was very clear in my last video, but maybe we'll end on that. I think we'll end on Michael Hage because he was at development camp. We saw him put on 10 pounds. We saw him with that stride, and he's had comparisons to Guy Carbonneau as well.
Mm-hmm.
We were pretty young for Guy Carbonneau, so we didn't get a chance to watch Guy a lot growing up. But that being said, how much of the real deal is Michael Hage in your mind?
Well, stylistically, I think you're spot on. He said it himself, right? He tries to model his game a little bit after Jack Eichel, right? The smoothness, on Tony's show. Right. No,
it's just what I see. I'm just going, sorry, but yeah,
that's it.
I'm glad to hear him say it too. Like, thank God.
Spot on. Yeah. He said it himself. He's one of the guys that he likes to watch. And I know on Tony's show, right, we had Stu Cowan on, and he said the one word that comes to mind is smooth. Right. And yeah. Michael is right there with him. I mean, he said he was doing a Q&A type thing with Atos Koivu. And I watched the whole thing. And he said one of the guys he tries to really look at and model his game after is Jack Eichel because of how smooth he is, right? We see it. I mean, this guy, when he has the puck, it's fluid. It seems just so easy, right? He's just he has that thing on a string. It's stuck to his tape. It's pretty remarkable to watch, and he's got a heck of a release, man. That he's got a deadly shot, but he's a real deal, man. I really believe in Michael Hage. He's put on 10 pounds, like you said, in the off season, and that's only going to go up from here. He's got a 6'1" frame. So again, great size. And the abilities are there, right? He's going to have a big season in Michigan this year. Michigan should be a much better team. They added some big names such as, Malcolm Spence and whatnot. So they should seriously improve, and that will help him, but he'll still be the focal point of that team. He'll still be the number one center. He'll just probably have better help around him. Still needs to round out the defensive game a little bit, but I'm not overly concerned about that, to tell you the truth. Those offensive abilities can't be taught, man. Like he's got it. He really does. I'm a firm believer in him, and just the fact, right? It's the story behind it as well, right? The fact that he grew up a Habs fan, and this was his childhood team. This was the team he wanted to go to. I think he'll inadvertently try harder, in a sense that, work harder to make this happen and be with the Habs. This year his focus is on Michigan, and that's good. And I think next year the focus is going to be in Laval. I don't want to rush this guy, right? The Habs have the luxury of not having to rush him like they did with, say, KK, right? KK was not ready to play in the NHL, and they brought him in right away. Probably hurt his development, right? Again, you want to do the right thing. You want to be patient. Overripe, okay, as Pierre Maguire likes to say, overripe the prospects. It can't hurt. So again, 2 years, and Michael Hage is with us for a good long time. So yeah, very excited about him.
I love it. Okay, I gotta wrap up because my camera's starting to stream at me. So that being said, folks, Shayne, thank you as always for coming on. We appreciate it, guys. Hit like, hit subscribe, and we appreciate it. Anytime we can jump on, we certainly try to. So thank you for being patient with us. We do this when we can, and we love you guys. And I meant to mention that yes, Shayne and I will be at the Prospects Challenge to see Mr. Ivan Demidov running amok on the baby Jets, on the Winnipeg Jets. Shout out Hockey Junkie. Also, shout out to Matt again for passing 50,000 subscribers. An amazing accomplishment for a Habs YouTuber. So, yeah, thanks everybody. Appreciate it. And we'll see you very, very soon. I'm trying to get the music in. Thanks again, Shayne. Appreciate you, buddy.